This week's podcast is kindly sponsored by Who Knows Wins. This is a new social sports game where mates, family and colleagues pit their wits for real money. Use the free app to play directly against your pals in your own custom league, or join the thriving community of players in one of our existing competitions like this week's Pick 10 League with a guaranteed £6,000 prize fund. Keep on top of the action with live updates and bask in the glory with live chat. You don't need to get all the predictions right. You just need to get more than anyone else. Guaranteed winners every day. Download the app now from the link below in the description. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. We hope you are all well. Hello to everyone in the chat already. Thanks for joining us. If you give us a like straight away on the video, that would be very helpful. Yes, Lee?
I just want to say that game, by the way, is a very, very good game.
Thank you very much indeed. Another bit of so you've got my endorsement with my beautiful voice in the voiceover, and now you've got Lee Judge's.
I played that. And it's a really interesting game. I tell you what, you think it's easy, it's not.
There you go. Endorsement from the judge. Get down. Links in the description below, and download it and get on it. I do believe it does involve some money changing hands, but you can do it for as low or as high as you want. You can have a bit of a good laugh with it with your mates. Like if you wanted to, you could have 10 fellas in there at the entry for £1. So the winner wins a tenner. So you don't have to spend lots of money on it at all. Link in the description. Go and have a look at it. Hello to you all in the chat before I was rudely interrupted. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all doing fine. We're back. It's been a while since we've all been sat and together. Looking like the what's that family? What was that? Night John Boy? What was that program called?
Waltons.
The Waltons. That's it. So it's good to be back with the boys. Lee Judges, how are you?
Yes, I'm all right. Sorry, but I am a late comer. You know what I mean? I am really sorry about that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. In life, I'm a late comer. I can't help it. Like, you know? And, I have been at football today, and for some unknown reason, I'm just going to say this, put it out there. Craig made the podcast earlier, and that meant I've had to dash from my football, and there was traffic lights that's on the way back, and that is why I was slightly late. So I do apologise for that.
No problem, mate. No apology needed. No problem.
But other than that, all good, Craigie boy. All good.
Good. Dan, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm getting annoyed with these excuses from Lee Judges every time. I mean, it's getting silly now, isn't it? I mean, every single time he's late for his own show, he's late for this show. It's just becoming the norm now, mate. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Well, and let's be honest, I must say that game you've just promoted, you know, Judges says it's difficult. He's trying to turn his TV on with an iPad. I mean, it can't be that difficult technology-wise, can it? Do you know what I mean? It can't be that difficult. But Craig, I'm good. Good to be back with you boys, and I do love the Same Old Arsenal, so it'll be great this evening talking to you lot.
Good. Graham, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all good, mate. Nice to be back.
That's a lot of enthusiasm with that. Jesus Christ.
The fact that the judge was late tonight, and he says he's always late, begs the question: is he always late for Sophie Rose? But I mean, for the pod. Let's clarify that for the pod. I've had a crap day, Craig. I literally struggled to get on the trains this morning. They're all cancelled. Storm Franklin. I then was rushing back, fell over in the middle of the road, was laying spread-eagled in the middle of a roundabout between Morrison's petrol station and Morrison's store. But this really kind young black lady stopped her car, saw me laying there, picked me up and said, I'll take you wherever you want to go. And where she took me Where she took me wasn't quite what I had in mind, but that's not for a pod.
I think Graham just, what happened was Graham actually knocked himself out and dreamt all that.
Yeah. Then he woke up. He was in Tesco's, every little helps.
He knows something about me, doesn't he? No, it's great to be back.
We've had a good couple of weeks since we haven't spoken. Beating Wolves 1-0 away from home with 10 men. And then coming back to the Emirates at the weekend and beating Brentford 2-1. Like the podcast title says, points is all that matters. I don't care if we win the next games 1-0 and we score a goal in the 92nd minute. If that's how it's going to do, then that's how it's going to do. Lee, just give us your quick overall for the last two games. Wolves away, Brentford at home. 6 points in the bag, still putting the pressure on the teams that are above us. Obviously, Tottenham winning at the weekend has put a bit of a spanner in it, if you like. That would have been nice if they had a drawn or got beat. But we're still on, mate. We're still on.
Yeah, listen, the Wolves game, by the way, it was bloody freezing up there. I thought it was colder than what he thought it was going to be. And listen, I thought we was comfortable. I think we defended really, really well. And then we got the goal. I thought we was going to win it quite comfortably. Unbelievable sending off. I've never seen a sending off like that before, and I'll never see another sending off again like that again. I love it when the pundits go, "Oh, letter of the law, letter of the law." Yeah, well, what was the letter of the law with McTominay yesterday? Because I see him; he should have got sent off yesterday by the letter of the law. So they can stick their letter of the law right up where the sun don't shine, as far as I'm concerned. Because what that showed me was that Mr. Oliver couldn't wait to send an Arsenal player off, and that's what he done. But in saying that, we dug in. Great tactical move from Mikel Arteta to put on a holding, and we just we see out the game quite comfortably. And listen, Wolves are a difficult team to beat, as other teams have proved since that defeat. They've gone and won their games that they against Tottenham and against Leicester. No, not easy games, but they've gone and won them. So it was a great result. Then we needed to back it up, Craig, with a home win against Brentford. We done that. Listen, I think if we'd have won 2-0, I think it'd have been fair. Just a little bit disappointing because it looks a lot tighter than what it actually was. I felt we was comfortable. And I'm gonna say it now, steps it up in the second half, and we needed someone to deliver, and it was the kids again, Smith Rowe and Saka. They delivered, great little ball out from Lacazette to Smith Rowe. He had everything to do. I don't know if you noticed the Tierney run. I didn't think Tierney had one of his better games, but that was a brilliant overlapping run. That opened up the space for Smith Rowe to go inside. Bang, 1-0. Then we get the second goal. I thought was an absolute class goal from Saka. And I thought we was comfortable. It was. I thought everybody played well on the day. I don't think anybody really played that bad. Probably, if you would have to say someone wasn't at their real game, was probably Lacazette. But I thought we done good things and bad things in the game. I didn't think it was a bad performance all round. It was a difficult performance because of the way that they're going to play. Now these games are going to be tough for us. Those teams that sit in and try and say, right, break us down. I think that's where Arsenal struggle. But I think that's where a lot of teams are struggling this season. Man United are struggling with it. Tottenham are struggling with it. So it's difficult. So we've got to be patient. Big up to the fans, because I tell you, it was a nightmare. An absolute nightmare to get to the Emirates on Saturday. Pouring down with rain. 3 o'clock kickoff for the first time in a while. But the fans made it there, and it was a great day. Ruined at 7 o'clock, wasn't it, or 7:10? If you be honest, it did ruin it. Put a little bit of a dampener on it, if I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. But ultimately, listen, we done our job, and that's the main thing. Do you imagine if we'd have lost and that would have happened? 100 times worse. So listen, it's always important that we get our win, and then whatever happens after that, happens. But take care of our own business, and that's what we've done in the last 2 games, Craig.
Absolutely. We did. Dan, before I want you to go over Wolves and Brentford for us, a nice little stat here that I picked out on Twitter. I hope it's true when I read it out, but it came from a good account. So only Mohamed Salah, Jota, Raheem Sterling have scored more goals than Smith Rowe this year.
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, when you look at Lacazette, I mean, like Lee said there, you look at Lacazette over the 2 games. I mean, that one against Wolves, I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, the goalkeeper done well. The goalkeeper done well." He did. The goalkeeper did do well, but you expect someone of Lacazette's quality to stick that in, to slot that home, and he hasn't done that. He didn't have his best game against Brentford. So I mean, that tells the story of how much we need a striker going into next season, Dan, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think the way that we're playing at the moment, Craig, we're pretty much playing without a striker. So whether Lacazette wants to get in the box or not is not really his choice. I think he's being asked to play link-up play with the youngsters around him. And that's why I think we're more of a goal threat with everybody but him, if I'm honest, because whenever we're getting crosses into the box, he's never anywhere to be seen, because he's trying to, at one stage, he was playing in next to Xhaka at one stage in that game against Brentford. It was unbelievable. The amount of work rate the guy got cannot be questioned. He is a workhorse. He doesn't stop running and he doesn't stop working hard for the team. But that does only get you so far, Craig. And I think certainly a centre forward is a must in the summer. What I love about the youngsters in this team, though, is that they're the ones that are driving us forward still. And it's been nearly 2 years now that we've seen that. We've seen no senior head that's taken the game by the scruff of the neck and put us in with a shout of 3 points. Saka and Smith Rowe are the two that are doing it. Martinelli in some games has been doing it this season and, of course, last season and even under Emery, to be honest with you. So it has been young players around us that we've been really interested in seeing. And another one who I thought was outstanding at the weekend was Martin Ødegaard. And he's a player that I've been questioning quite a lot, actually, in terms of I want to see more goals and assists from him. And he started to provide that a few weeks ago. And although it's died down, and you can't look at him and say he's not a great footballer because his vision is fantastic, his passing is there. I think he does drive the team forward. And he's been someone I've been really impressed with. And what I love most is when people can kind of prove you wrong and say up yours. And that's one player that has done that to myself and a few others that were questioning him. Not because we thought he was a bad player, just because I thought, what do you bring to this team in terms of goals and contributions to assists? And then he started to prove me wrong by assisting and scoring goals. And even though that has died off, like I say, he has still been putting in good performances. And I think, I was listening to Graham. Me and Graham were having a chat the other day. And I saw this 4-3-3 formation really working against Wolves and Brentford. And it is that little diamond of Partey who's sitting deep and obviously Ødegaard and Xhaka either side and then Lacazette. So we're kind of playing without a striker. And the only other team that does that is Manchester City. The difference is Manchester City have got better players in the attacking positions and also, well, actually in midfield and defence as well, to be honest with you. But when you look at the style of play, you're starting to see it now. And I think although it's taken a long time, I'm starting to see how we set up. And I quite like it in certain aspects of the game, but we do need to improve the balance of our defence and our attack. Defensively, thought we were outstanding against Wolves. I was really, really impressed. And it was similarly to the Anfield result, really, wasn't it? Where we went down to 10 men and everyone was defending for their lives. Thought Ben White was outstanding. Thought Rob Holding come on and did really, really well. And Gabriel, for me, has probably got one of the shouts for player of the season. So defensively, we're definitely sorted. And that's one positive I can bring to the table for Mikel Arteta, is that he has sorted us out defensively. The other thing that I see as a positive is the recruitment and the removing of the culture and the deadwood. I think that's been a massive positive. I think this team, I quite like this team, Craig. When I look at them in the tunnel, I think like you. It wasn't long ago we were going, oh, you're a weak link, so are you. Oh, Christ, I hope you don't get injured because otherwise he's coming on. We don't really have that anymore. And I think that is credit to Mikel Arteta and Edu in terms of their recruitment. I think off the field, they've definitely deserved a lot of credit. Excuse me. But on the field, I still feel there's some issues and concerns of mine are the lack of consistency and the lack of goals. Now, with lack of consistency, we can probably get away with a lack of consistency because let's be honest, Craig, so are Man United inconsistent, so are Tottenham and so are West Ham. But where I am concerned is lack of goals because although we did score a couple yesterday, well, it goes so quick, doesn't it, on Saturday, I think personally we're going to need goals by committee because Lacazette is not going to get that 15 goals a season for us. We are going to need the Sakas, the Smith Rowes, the Ødegaards, the Martinellis all to chip in from now till the end of the season with goals, just like Manchester City do without that forward, because otherwise I'm worried about this top four situation with lack of goals. I don't think we're a team that gets battered anymore with 3 or 4 like we used to under Unai Emery and sometimes under Unai and under Arsene Wenger. But certainly the other end of the pitch is where our issue is at the moment. And some say we have to wait till the summer to get strikers in. I've seen some good strikers at Arsenal under Arteta that still haven't managed to cut it. So he needs to show me that he can get these strikers scoring goals.
Brilliant, Dan. Brilliant. Graham, Wolves and Brentford, like I said to the other two boys, 6 good points.
Yeah, they were, Craig. 2 massive wins. Obviously, very important we won at Wolves because we dropped points against Burnley. So, and we hadn't got a very good record at Wolves. So to go there, as Lee said, really dig in defensively and get the result was fantastic. I do think the way we play sometimes we need the first goal, particularly away from home. That gives us something to hold on to in the shape. And when we went down to 10 men, he shifted the shape to a 5-3-1. And it's 3 games now where we defended really well in that shape against Liverpool when Xhaka got sent off, against Man City when we almost saw it out, but they scored in the 96th minute, and then at Wolves. So we were great defensively in that game. I thought it was a really good performance against Wolves. And then a different type of game against Brentford. Brentford we knew would come with a back 5, defend with 8, possibly 9 behind the ball, did think their press was really weak Saturday. I did think there were massive gaps that allowed Odegaard to be as good as what Dan said he was, and he was really good on Saturday. But for all that, I thought our play was really good. I think we were worth more than 2-1. I think we should have been 4 up in the first half. We had something like 32 crosses, something like 80% possession, something like 16 shots at goal. We had, our record amount of crosses in a game is 35. We had 32 in the first half alone from corners and from wide positions. Big up Cedric, actually, Lee, because he came in and I thought he was superb on Saturday. He did a really good job underlapping and overlapping. We saw what Dan was talking about, the rotations, the triangles on both sides of the pitch. You got like Saka, Odegaard and Cedric on one side, and then you got like Xhaka, Tierney and Smith Rowe on the other. Smith Rowe came in and did a really good job. I do slightly differ from the boys in that I admit that we do lack a forward, but I think we are gravitating away from. I think we will address it in the summer, mind you. I think we do. We know we need forwards. We know we're going to need to go out and replace Nketiah, Lacazette, and Aubameyang's are gone. But I think football's changing. So if you look at it now, and me and Dan spoke about it on Saturday, I think our forwards now are wide players. Saka and Smith Rowe, or Martinelli and Saka, are our 2 forwards. All right, they're playing their wings. They're playing on the wings in a 4-3-3. But the way we set up now is very similar to the way a lot of teams set up. This sort of positional play that Arteta is now adopting, which is used by Man City, Barcelona, 4-3-3 shape with 2 advanced number 8s, a 6 at the base. And the key to it, as I said to Dan on Saturday, is almost like it's a diamond in build-up, because you've got like Partey at the base, you've got Lacazette at the top, and you've got 2 number 8s either side, left and right, who do a lot of running around in the half spaces. And then you've got fullbacks who bomb on when they need to and create these sort of overloads. It's all about looking for overloads and then switching the play quickly and creating one-on-one moments on the other side once you've got a team stretched to one side of the pitch. And that's what I think he's trying to do. Now, if you look at football generally at the moment, Craig, football in the Premier League, Liverpool, Man City don't play with what I would call forwards. You know, Firmino is their number 9. I know Jota's come in and can play that role, number 9, but their goals come from their wide areas, from Salah and Mane. Look at Man City, their goals come from wide players. They don't have what I would call out-and-out forwards. The 2 main forwards this year, I know he scored 2 on Saturday and played well, Kane, but he hasn't been scoring this season. Lukaku has been fucking dreadful, excuse the language, at Chelsea. Sophie Rose will tell you about that, Lee, won't she? He's absolutely dreadful.
Certainly has.
So I think football's gravitating away from out-and-out forwards. You tell me, boys, how many good number 9s are in world football at the moment? I know we put our eggs in the Vlahovic basket and didn't get him over the line because he would have suited our build-up. But I think Lacazette, his shooting on Saturday was awful, actually, but the role he plays in the team at the top of that diamond is literally to draw out the centre half, to create space for our 2 wide wingers to go from out to in to have shots at goal. And it's no secret our 2 highest scorers this year who are still at the club are Saka and Smith Rowe, because they play in those areas where they're coming in, get shots at goal. So I accept Dan's right, we do need a forward. We will need to replace Lacazette, Nketiah and also Aubameyang in the summer. But I think that our forwards at the moment for the rest of the season are these wide players, Craig, Saka and Smith Rowe, and even Martinelli. And I think the challenge will be, can we get 4, get them all in the team at once? And I've got a possible solution before you move back to Judge and Dan. Xhaka plays a really good role on that left-hand side. It is out of his comfort zone, and he did have something like 10 progressive passes on Saturday. But why not slip Smith Rowe into that position and play Martinelli on the left-hand side? So you've got like the diamond would then be Partey at the base, Smith Rowe on the left-hand side, Odegaard on the right, and you could have Martinelli on the left, up top on one side, Saka on the right side, and Lacazette coming short in the middle and build up. I know you can't play that against the big sides away from home, but when we're at home trying to break down teams like Brentford, there will be more Brentfords to come to the Emirates before the season's out. That could be an attacking solution to get us goals. And for all that, though, I'm pleased that we got the 2 wins. And as Lee said, the Tottenham result slightly dampened it, but we did our business.
Thing is, Graham, what you've just said there is basically what he did against Villarreal when we got dumped out the Europa League. Partey on his own, Smith Rowe in a false 9. I don't know if you do that. Like you say, you did say it against the weaker position, and I understand that. But I think that we have to be very, very careful about playing Smith Rowe as a false 9 again, because I just didn't think
I'm not saying
playing
as a false 9. Dan, I'm not saying playing as a false 9. I'm saying he plays on the left-hand side. He did play false nine against Villarreal. I accept that. I think Partey's got the technical ability and the physicality to play number 6 and to cover space, and he did it really well again on Saturday. I think you'd have
Yeah, he was
Smith Rowe on the
class. I
left
thought he was
side,
amazing,
not a
Partey,
false
by the way.
nine. Lacazette playing at 9, mate. So Smith Rowe
Yeah,
on one side and possibly
Thomas-
Odegaard on the other.
Thomas Partey for me, and Thomas Partey and Martin Odegaard. I mean, this is going to sound ridiculous because Partey's been here. Partey's been here over a year now. But Martin Odegaard and Thomas Partey, for me, Lee, are becoming key players. Key players in this team, and two players that are first on the team sheet for me. Odegaard and Partey.
I think you're right, and so Xhaka. I know what Graham's saying, but Xhaka comes into the team. I think with Partey, someone told me today, or read or something like that. We've in 10 league games that they've started, we've won 8, lost 2 with Partey and Xhaka.
Xhaka played the most progressive passes on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I thought he played really well Saturday. I see what I do see what Graham's saying. That, if we could change that a little bit more, because he's got the running power that probably Xhaka ain't. He's probably still got the passing, but the physicality of it and defensive side of it, maybe you don't need in games like what we were saying there. So I think it's saying maybe like 20, 25 minutes from the end of a game. If we haven't broken down, it's something that we can go to. I think on Thursday, the team sheet, when that comes in, is going to be very interesting, because I will be bitterly disappointed if Martinelli's not in the side. I don't care what someone's got to be left out for him. For me,
Are you dropping then, Lee? Are you dropping then, Lee?
I'm dropping Lacazette if I'm gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean?
Play Martinelli up front.
Yeah, I just think you've got to get him in. I don't think you can really drop Smith Rowe after that performance. You may look to drop Smith Rowe if you think about it, that he's not quite 100% fit. But for me, not for me. I think Smith Rowe's done enough to get himself in the team, and he should have been in the team a couple of weeks ago, in my opinion. Lacazette's had 3 games now where, listen, I'm not criticising Lacazette. I'll tell you what, if Xhaka toenail wasn't offside yesterday, he scores a goal and everybody's going to be going, oh, he scored a goal and played really well. That's the difference in football. But I think that you've got, as Graham said, we've got to try and get all of them on the pitch. I think I'm going to be disappointed come Thursday. I think Martinelli will be on the bench. I think that he'll start with Lacazette and Smith Rowe at first. I think that because it's won the game. I think that it's harsh on Martinelli, but I do think that's what will happen. But ultimately, I think Martinelli over the last 5-6 games has been our best player. He's been sharp. He's looked like most games. I thought he was fantastic against Wolves with his movement and everything like that. So it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens. One silly moment of madness, though, could cost him a couple of games, as it did Smith Rowe. If you remember rightly, Smith Rowe was in the team and then got injured, and then he's found it difficult to come back in. I think that's going to happen with Martinelli. I really do. But ultimately, if this continues, Lacazette has got to start doing the business. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I don't care, about the hold-up play. Get someone else who can do the hold-up play. Yeah. And Martinelli, I think, could do that as well. So, but very much going into what you're saying there, Odegaard, I thought, was fantastic. He has got to sort out his final decision. I thought everything about him was class, but there was on 2 occasions he should have shot and he passed, and then on 1 occasion he should have passed and he shot. You know what I mean? And then he missed his chance when he went through. But other than that, he was superb. I love the way he links up play and all that. Comes over to the right. Work rate as well was sensational. And Partey, by the way, I thought had a all right first half, but when it mattered second half, someone needed to step up in that midfield, and he did. Him and I don't think Xhaka can do that sort of step it up as well as what Partey can. But Xhaka's the steady one that will get the 7 out of 10 in every game. But Partey went that little bit more with the 8 out of 10, and I thought bordering on 9 with that second half performance. Drove some of his little touches and things like that. I love the way he gets the ball. And he's in bodies away from the ball so he can protect it and all that. He does that very, very well, and then just pushes it past players. He needs to continue this now and not get injured. I know, touch wood, he don't, because I think now he's at the peak of his fitness, and now he's got to go on, where if he gets injured again, it takes him another 2 or 3 games to get going. So he needs to be in there, stay fit. But them two have been very, very much of key. One thing I will say about the performances over the last 2, I know sometimes it ain't great to watch as a spectacle. I get that, but I like the way we're controlling the game. You know, I don't feel like we're gonna, you know, even though against Burnley we didn't win, I thought we was never going to concede a goal. I felt that again on Saturday. It was disappointing when we conceded that last second goal. You know what I mean? Like, it was really annoying. But we didn't look like we was vulnerable. At 0-0, I felt like, you know, we was in the ascendancy and we was in control of the game. That's good, because that's good shape, good defending. We have improved on that side. And I think Cedric has to take a big mention in this. I was probably saying before the game, if Tomiyasu's 100% fit, I'm bringing him back. No need at the moment. No need to bring Tomiyasu back in there at this moment in time. He's going to have to be patient, because if Cedric plays like that, he doesn't deserve to be left out, guys. You know what I mean? So I'd be very disappointed if, you know, like if Cedric's left out and then he's not done that with and not put Martinelli back in, like, you know, because that's sort of telling you one thing and not the other. Cedric's played really well the last 2 games, deserves to stay in.
Absolutely. And just staying on Cedric was the player who made the most passes on Saturday. So, you know, well, whether they got to everyone that they were supposed to go to, but he made the most passes. And I totally agree with you, Lee. I think the last 2 games he's been brilliant. And that's how it should be. But coming in here from Paul, Dan, is saying that competitions for places is a must. We need more and more. So long we've sat here and supported Arsenal, and I know me and you had a little discussion the other day about Olivier Giroud. Gone are the times now when Olivier Giroud can rock up to the Emirates and know that he's playing, because there's no one else in there, or, you know, any other player who was playing for Arsenal at that time when there was no competition for places. People rock up. You know, it happens in the Sunday League. You when you get to the Sunday League pitch and you see all the fellas rocking up who know they're playing, and you think, oh, you arrogant sods. But competition for places, going on what Lee said, going on what Graham said about formations and tactics, it's a good thing, Dan, surely.
It's massive, and I think it's what will take this side to the next level. Because if you want to win titles, or if you want to compete in all trophies and all competitions, which hopefully will be in more than just the league next season, you're going to need a squad. Now, we've got probably 13, 14 players that I think are looking like they'll be here long-term at Arsenal. That's not enough when you want to compete in more than just the top 4 race. I think personally we'll see 6 more signings in the summer. And I think that's what we need. That's certainly what this side needs. I think our first 11 is pretty healthy, apart from a striker, if I'm honest with you. But we need strength in depth. We need cover for positions. And some of that cover at the moment is looking a lot stronger than it has done of recent times. You've got William Saliba coming back in. Nuno Tavares looks to be competing for left back with Kieran Tierney at times this season. We've just spoken about Cedric, who in the last 2 games has really impressed me, because it's a player that I said, please don't get injured, Tomiyasu, because Cedric's got a mistake in him. The last 2 games, he's looked pretty good. Obviously, Ben White's come into the mix and looks really to have upgraded our defence from David Luiz, in my opinion. I think he has. Lokonga's an upgrade on El Neni, I think. Albeit he has had a few dodgy games, but, you know, he's better than El Neni. I think when you've got Odegaard and Smith-Rowe pushing for that kind of attacking number 10 when we do play a 10 role, that's really healthy. And when you've got Saka and Martinelli and Smith-Rowe that all can't decide who's playing, that's great. But we still do need 4 or 5 players that are going to really compete against the top 11 for next season. And when people say, well, I want to see Martinelli, oh no, Smith-Rowe can't get in, this is good. Do you know what I mean? Me and Lee always do say it. We say, oh, you know, who's going to be playing? It's good, in my opinion, because that's what Manchester City do. And Manchester City don't sit there going, oh, bloody Mahrez. You see him on the bench the other day. He had to come on and score a penalty. They're loving it. I absolutely love that they can bring Mahrez and Foden on. And that's where I want to get to one day with Arsenal. Maybe it won't be next season. It might take a bit longer than that. But certainly the only thing I can sort of sit and realistically say is that this team, first 11-wise, is the best it's been in 3 years, in my opinion. And I think the recruitment has been spot on. I'm enjoying watching some of these young players. I need to see this team moving forward into that top 4 now, because it's good enough, Craig. That 11 is good enough. 1 game a week. It's better than Man United's, West Ham's and Spurs. And if people say they don't think it is, then I would agree to a certain extent that 3 or 4 of the players from Manchester United, West Ham and Spurs would probably get into Arsenal's first 11. but 6 or 7 of the others would walk into all of their teams. I wouldn't want to touch anybody at Manchester United other than Ronaldo, Bruno, Varane and Sancho. I wouldn't want to touch anybody at Spurs other than Kane and Son. I wouldn't want to touch anybody at West Ham other than maybe Declan Rice, maybe Thomas Souček and Jared Bowen. Otherwise, I'm looking at all of our back five saying I don't really fancy any of them apart from Raphael Varane out of all 3 teams. The midfield, I wouldn't touch McFred with a barge pole. So when I look and go up to each of the formations, I'm thinking, okay, bar the striker, I think we're probably the best team on paper. So there's no excuses for us now, 1 game a week, to show that we're good enough for top 4.
Absolutely, Graham. The competition in the team is good. Do we believe what we hear about a war chest in the summer? How many times have we heard that? We're going to have money to spend in the summer. If so, if true, where are you going to spend it, Graham?
Well, I think there will be money available in the summer. The simple reason is that, first of all, as Dan was talking about earlier, they've got rid of a lot of the deadwood, and also they reduced the wage bill, haven't they? So they've made a massive savings, and I think their policy was quite clear, wasn't it, in the January window? And that was they wanted an upgrade in attack. Vlahovic, they put all their eggs in the Vlahovic basket, so they were prepared to spend 60, 70 million to get him over the line if they could get it. But once they couldn't get it, obviously, then they decided we're not going to take anything less than what we want or what we need. Albeit they did look at activating, or they did make a bid less than the activating clause in Isaac's contract because they didn't think he was worth the 75 mil. So there must be money there because they were prepared to spend it in January. They know they've got to replace Lacazette and Nketiah in the summer. So literally, we're going to be down to 1 striker. That's Balogun coming back, and he's not quite ready, is he? So although he's getting good minutes at Middlesbrough, so they are going to have to buy, I think, 3 forwards and I think 2 top quality forwards, and that's a hell of a lot of money, isn't it? You're talking about 100 mil there, I would say, and I don't know quite yet what they're going to do. And also, I think they need an upgrade in central midfield. I do think what we're seeing, for all what Lee's saying about Xhaka and Partey as a combination, I do think that Xhaka will be the one, I think, in that position. If he wants to play that 4-3-3 that Lee talks about, I know Xhaka can defend and come back into a 4-2-3-1 when we drop back into that system away from the 4-3-3 if we're trying to protect something. But I think need a left-sided number 8 then. If we're not going to play an attacking player there, we need a midfielder, a quality midfielder to sit with Partey, an upgrade on Xhaka in that left-hand half space, a number 8 of quality in the midfield. So I think the targets, Craig, will be, I think, 3 forwards, at least 2 forwards, at least 2, and then possibly a cheaper option, and then a quality centre mid group.
Yeah. I'll come to you. I will stay with you, Graham, with this next question. I'll come to Lee and Dan on it as well. Nicolas Pepe. We're watching Lacazette kind of falter, even though, like, we all agree that his work rate's good, and you know that he works hard and he never gives up, and this, that, and the other. Surely Nicolas Pepe has got to be worth a go where Lacazette is playing as a false 9, centre forward or striker or what you want to call him. Surely he's got to be, surely he's got to be worth a punt than leaving Lacazette on the way he does.
My answer to that question is no, not in that position. I don't think he can do what Lacazette does in that position. I think when he came on Saturday, I thought he looked good, actually. When he came on, he looked lively. And we saw immediately the shift. He went over onto the right-hand side, and that enabled Saka to come over onto the left-hand side, and that got the second goal, didn't it? When Saka broke away on that on our left-hand side, their right-hand side, and buried the shot in the corner. And he should have had a penalty, Pepe, on Saturday. He was literally took down in the box. That was a penalty. Lee talked about some of the decisions of Michael Oliver. I mean, Jonathan Moss took home the match ball on Saturday for not giving 3 pens, didn't he? I mean, absolute disgrace. First half, clear foul in the same passage of play. We talked about same passage of play got Martinelli sent off. We had 2 players fouled in the same passage of play in the penalty box on Saturday, White and Lacazette. Neither was given. Jonathan Moss just stood there, did nothing. Then there was the shot from Cedric, which was goal bound, that hit Wissa's hand in an unnatural position. Now, we saw a penalty given. Lee talks about the Man City Tottenham game, but there was a penalty given to Man City, as much as we like to see it. But Tottenham was slightly unlucky, judging by how we were treated in that game. That was another pen. Then Pepe was brought down. So that was a pen for me. Just going back, just touching on the Pepe argument, I think we can, if we're struggling for goals up top, I think we need to get him in the team, but we'd have to tweak the balance. He'd have to be up top in a 2, Craig, and that's the only way he could do it. To put him up top next to maybe Lacazette or Martinelli, where he can maybe run in behind. I mean, at Lille, he was very good in transitions, running from deep or running at defenders. So I don't think he's someone who can sit in the middle, hold the ball up. He'd have to play on the shoulder, wouldn't he? So, but I don't think that's his strength. I don't not see that's how Arteta sees him. He wants him on the wings. But the only way you talked about changing things up in games. Why can't he come on and play in a 2 up top? Or even occasionally when we're at home, play a 2 up top. You know, if teams are sitting in a low block, and he could maybe sit on the left hand side in a 2 with Saka on and Smith Rowe Martinelli still on the wings. You know, and sort of like look to drive at defences from deep. That would possibly be again. Maybe you have to drop Odegaard out, and whether you're willing to do that's another matter. But that's an option. But I don't see him as a false 9. I see him playing either in transition, running from deep from that number 8 position maybe, or even playing up top in a 2. That's the way I would do it.
Lee, any shout after hearing that? I mean, it kind of shoots my my suggestion down, really. But you know what I'm trying to say? Surely he's got to be a better option than watching Lacazette struggle.
I think it's an option. I do think it's an option. I also think if you want to get somebody in the team that's not going to play on the flanks no more, let's be honest about it. When people keep going to me, oh, we've got to get Pepe in the team, like, you know, well, okay, right. Who are you leaving out? Are you leaving out Martinelli? Not really. Are you leaving out Saka? Definitely not. Are you leaving out Smith Rowe? No. So there's really not that option. So, you know, if Saka got injured, say like or wasn't to play, you know, I mean, I would be tempted to bring in Smith Rowe into that to the right hand side, or Martinelli into the right hand side before him. Like, you know, being saying that, he looked sharp when he come on, as Graham quite rightly said. I thought he should have had a penalty, and he looks very, very sharp when he's going. At this moment in time, what Pepe's got to do, every time he comes on, he's got to perform, even if it's a cameo over 10, 15 minutes. He's got to try and force this manager that, by the way, that obviously has not really given him a real fair crack of the whip at any stage. I will say this, though. If on a one-on-one situation, and I've got my mortgage on it, and it's Pepe running through and Lacazette running through, I'm having my money on Pepe. I really am. I think that he's a better finisher. I think that, you know, I think he's a very, very good finisher, to be fair. So if Martinelli, if Arteta wants to get him in the side, I think it could be in that sort of role of Lacazette. I don't think that he will, though. I think that it was interesting that it was 1-0 up on Saturday. We needed something else. We needed a little bit more of a spark. Even though he was doing okay, he come on. Him going over to the right provided the second goal. So you'd have to turn around and say good substitution. And I think he contributed to that win on Saturday. I really do. So that's what he's got to do. So it's a difficult one, this, because we can't really experiment on games at the moment, can we? Like, you know, if we had, like, I don't know, an FA Cup tie against a lower opposition, we could perhaps say, do you know what? Let's see what he can do in there. Let's see what he can do. That sort of. So we've never really had a look at him in that role to see if he could play it. It would be a massive gamble to say, right, okay, we're leaving Lacazette out and putting him in front of Martinelli, or even, you know, Lacazette for this game. It's very, very difficult. Sometimes in life, Craig, and as a manager, sometimes you're forced into doing something. And it works, and you think, well, a little bit like Joe Linton, not being forced, but you know what I mean, like at Newcastle, who'd seen him to be like the midfield player that he is, and I tell you what a midfield player he is. So there is a little bit of in there. I'd like to see Pepe get a chance at some sort of stage, but I don't really know where. Listen, if Lacazette's not doing the business, then why not give him a go? I know what Graham's saying, but like, he couldn't do no bloody worse. Yeah. That would be my point of it, like, you know. Yeah. But ultimately, I do think there's better options if Lacazette's out of the team, I would probably plumb for Martinelli in that role. I don't know if you guys think that or not. I know Dan loves
Lee,
so he
Lee,
might.
can I just come in there, Lee? Craig, can I just come in?
I'm with you.
Craig wants to come here. He wants to come
You can
in.
come
just
in
come
after
in
me.
there.
You can
I
come
haven't
in after
done.
me. Yeah,
I haven't done one of my come-ins yet. I just want to play my first Joker, my first come-in. You questioned Lacazette there, Lee, and I know Dan does as well. But when Firmino's in that Liverpool team playing a similar role to what Lacazette does and doesn't score any goals, he doesn't get any criticism, does he? Because of the work he does for the team and all the rest of it.
But he would do, Graham, if he missed an open goal like he did against Burnley, and also when he's 1-on-1 against Wolves. And listen, that one against Wolves didn't matter in the end because we got the result. So, but.
But how many goals does Firmino get for Liverpool, Lee? How many goals?
I don't care how many goals Firmino.
They don't care, do they? They don't care.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but they've got a goal scorer in Salah that's getting 20, 25 goals. Our top scorer is 10. There's a little bit of a difference, Graham. You know what I mean? Like they can afford to have that. If I'll be honest, I know it's. Listen, I'm not criticising.
So if we had, I flip it, Lee. I'll flip it to you then. If we had Salah up front, then you wouldn't worry about having Lacazette in the team, would you?
Well, no, because I don't think we was that worried about Lacazette being in the team when Aubameyang was banging in 20, 30 goals, were we really? You know what I mean? But obviously it's become a problem now because we haven't got that goal-scoring player. And listen, it doesn't really matter. Any fault. I remember, if Ian Wright was scoring, did it matter? Was it matter if Alan Smith wasn't scoring? Do you know what I mean? Because if Ian Wright's getting the goals, or if you're not getting the goals, it becomes. Listen, by Aubameyang by Aubameyang not scoring goals, has highlighted Lacazette. It's sort of, put a big mark under his name, which is a little bit unfair, if I'll be honest. But that's what it is now. You're looking at Lacazette. Listen, I think, and I'm just trying to stick up for Lacazette. If he was that close from being a goal on Saturday, if he takes his goal against Burnley and he takes his 1-on-1 against Wolves, we'd be looking at him and then going 3 goals in 3 games. What? That's a good thing. But as you well know, Graham, football is fine lines between success and failure. It is. That's how much it is, and it's not that he's that bad. But it's fine lines. Take your chances. We won't be having this conversation now.
Absolutely. Dan, let me flip it and let me flip it a little bit then and say, short for me, Pepe is the better option to bring on than Eddie Nketiah. He is the better option for me to bring on than Eddie Nketiah.
Don't get Dan going on that one.
You've asked me the best question, mate. I'll tell you that.
But it clearly is, and I don't understand why he keeps bringing on a player that won't sign a contract over a player who is under contract and should be playing instead of him, in my opinion. So what's going on there?
It's one of the best questions to ask people who can't criticise this manager, because there's certain people in the fans who don't want to say anything bad about Arsenal. Dare question what is happening with this process, manager, Kroenke, Edu. You're never allowed to say anything bad about it because you're a bad fan. But they can't tell me why he's doing that. And I think they don't want to say anything bad because it makes them a bad fan then. But it's very interesting how they can't answer that question. So I don't think anyone can, is the answer, Craig. Nobody understands why he's coming on. When he's coming on, he's running around. That's all he's doing. He's not doing anything else. He just runs around. So people say, he shows a lot of intensity. I don't really understand why he's coming on, mate. The most frustrating part for me is that he is coming, or was coming on, ahead of Nicolas Pepe. Now, when I saw that at Wolves, I thought it was a madness. I really did. And although we didn't need to bring somebody on to score the goal, and Lacazette missed the chance to kill the game off to make it 2-0, when he did get the ball and put it into the corner, with 10 men, down to 10 men, he's the only one up top and he's crossing the ball. And I thought that just shows your naivety, really, and how poor you are. And, I don't get that at all. When it comes to Pepe, I have been a big fan of Nicolas Pepe in certain games. Now, he's not my favourite player. He's very frustrating to watch, and there's times where I think you look very, very clumsy and your first touch can be off point. But you deliver, mate. You score goals. Your stats don't lie. Saka and Smith Rowe, just read it down, actually. Saka's got 15 goals in 2 years. Smith Rowe's got 13 goals in 2 years. Pepe got 16 in 1.
Yeah.
And people love Saka and Smith Rowe. And so do I. I prefer Saka and Smith Rowe to Pepe because I think they're better all-round players. But when you're talking about us needing goals, Nicolas Pepe proves he's the one who can score. And I'm with Lee. One-on-one, give me Pepe any day over any of them. Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Odegaard, Lacazette. I'd take Pepe one-on-one because I think he's the best finisher at the club. And the stats prove it. Is he going to take us to the next level? Probably not, because we've seen in the 3 years that he's not going to take us to the next level. But the stats do not lie. He creates, he assists, and he scores. Because I didn't even write down his assists. There's about another 12 assists to add on there in the last couple of seasons that Pepe's got also. So should he play in the first team? Absolutely not. Should he come on? Yes, 100% he should. And I'm kind of with Graham. I don't think that we'll see Pepe up top on his own, trying to hold the ball up. I think it does stick to him a lot more than people give him credit for. But I would love to see, instead of Lacazette coming off for Reddy and we're playing the same plan, I'd love to see Lacazette stay on with Pepe alongside him and bring off one of Odegaard or Smith Rowe or Saka, whoever you think's having the worst game at the time, and play that 25 minutes or 20 minutes where it's 0-0 as a 4-4-2 and see what happens. Because you've got Xhaka and Partey there that are still solid enough to hold it, and you've got the like-minded players on the wing still, whether it be Saka or Martinelli or Smith Rowe and Saka, still to play alongside of Pepe and Lacazette. And I'd love to see that. And if Pepe isn't the answer up there, then why not try Martinelli alongside Lacazette for a 25-minute period and see what happens there? There's a lot more than just plan A doesn't work. Let's try and make plan A better by bringing on a worse centre-forward and playing him ahead of Lacazette. I don't think that's worked. And I think now, hopefully, we've seen that it's not working for Mikel Arteta and he's got to try something different. I, like Lee and Graham, thought Pepe was very, very good when he came on because he just showed us a little bit more silkiness and a little bit of skill. And I think sometimes that's enough to lift the fans. I've not really enjoyed some of this football this season, personally. I love the results and I love it when you win 1-0. But like Lee said, he can watch it. I'm struggling to watch some of it because at 0-0, I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't think it was a good game at all. But when you look at it, 1-0, I'd take 1-0 because I did when I grew up watching George Graham and I was happy there. So, hello, what's happening here? When I was, that's all right. When I was watching George Graham when I was younger, the 1-0 to the Arsenal was the way forward. So if we're going to start to bring that style back consistently, that's fine. But I still need to see goals in this team if we are going to try and run the risk of 1-0s or 2-1s, because goals win your games, Craig. Goals win your games, and Pepe is an option.
Absolutely, I just think he's getting. I just think he's getting a raw deal from the manager. I mean, like you all know, I've stuck up for Arteta for the last 2 years, but I'm not one of those fans that won't say anything bad, and that is one of his. That for me is one of his big flaws. Why are you bringing on a player that has refused to sign a contract?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, are you trying in some way to make him sign a contract? Do you believe in the lad? Because I don't.
Yeah, he's had enough minutes, hasn't he? He's had.
Well, I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good enough.
No, why? But the one reason that he's saying he's not signing his contract is because he's not had enough minutes.
Yeah.
Since he said that, he's had more minutes than Pepe.
Yeah.
So is that
he's done nothing?
No.
Everton, that miss at Everton. I mean, those are the chances. If he wants to be an Arsenal player, he's got. That's his dinner. You've got to be taking them, mate. Do you know what I mean? That is your bread and butter. You've got to put them away. And same with Lacazette. Lacazette against Wolves, Lacazette against Burnley. You've got to put those chances away. Going back on what Lee said when Graham brought up the Firmino thing, because it's exactly true. They don't need to worry about it, because if he misses, then Salah will only score 2 anyway. 2 for one of his misses. But my next subject coming on to, we spoke about this last week actually on 4 Men and a Mic. Before I come to your questions, everyone in the chat, why do we get refereed differently, Graham? Why are we getting refereed differently? It is so obvious now. They're not even trying to hide it. 3 penalties. I think we should have had at the weekend. Martinelli getting sent off in the same phase of play. Unbelievable decisions going against us, and just to make you all happy, and to make to take a bit of to make you all happy and cheer you up. Martin Atkinson is referee on Thursday against Wolves. So I mean, we're in for a great show on Thursday, I'm sure. But Graham, are we refereed differently?
I think well, first of all, I will say that we have got a clear discipline issue at the club. Absolutely, where you can pin that on the manager, whether the manager doesn't do enough to take these lads aside and sort of address that is another issue. But we clearly have got an issue with discipline at the club because we've had so many red cards. So, and I will say, I did the Tactical Insight show with James, as Dan knows, and a lot of those reds were reds. So you can't argue about a lot of the red cards we get. They are red cards. You could argue about the Martinelli one. I thought that was ridiculous, quite frankly. And me and Dan politely disagree on that, but I didn't think it should have been a red card. And that's another. If you want me to explain why, I will. But keeping to the debate, what I see, we are refereed in line with the law, Craig. Other clubs are not. That's the answer to the question. So, for example, you only have to look at over the last month in the instances in the Premier League over the last 40 days when we received 4 red cards. There were at least 5 or 6 red card instances on TV matches that weren't given, that were clear reds. For whatever reason they weren't given was different reasons. Harry Kane, absolute leg breaker on Robinson, wasn't sent off. He's England captain, so that probably was the reason why. Sadio Mane, who's got a habit of elbowing players. He did it to Tierney when we played at Anfield a couple of years ago. He always elbows people in the head. He gets away with it. He got away with it against Cesar Azpilicueta of Chelsea. Then you've got Mason Mount, who, don't get me wrong, Mason Mount is a fantastic footballer, a lovely lad. So you wouldn't think he'd be the type of person. And when he lays on the ground with his legs tangled up with the Liverpool reserve left back, who loses his temper and kicks out at him in frustration. But they were losing the game 2-0 and he did. They checked it, and I watched it on the channel, on the TV, and it was a red card. He kicked out. He kicked him. Frustration. That was a red card. Had that been Granit Xhaka, he would have gone. Then you've got another example of Westwood of Burnley, that leg breaker on Tierney. Absolute red card all day long, not given. Then Liverpool Cardiff at the weekend, FA Cup weekend, when Kelleher was in goal for Liverpool, when he rushes out from goal, takes out the Cardiff striker going round him, and he gets a yellow. So I would say Arsenal are refereed in line with the law, but other clubs are not. So in answer to your question, we are refereed differently to other clubs. I can watch TV and I know other clubs are going to be refereed differently to us. That's the answer to the question. When I see an incident, I don't even expect them to get red cards now. So because it just doesn't happen. And I think it's almost like, because Arsenal have got, we always used to say that players are booked or sent off on reputation, like Jack will get sent off for something that Kane won't. But our club's now getting refereed on reputation. That's the worry for me, because Arsenal, you might argue, have reaped what they've sown and dug their own grave because they've had all these red cards. When an Arsenal player does something, it's almost like trendy to send him off because everyone else is doing it. But as Lee said earlier, Michael Oliver had 2 examples of where he could have given red cards in the last week. He chose to send off Martinelli, but he chose not to send off McTominay. So, I assume that was Michael Oliver refereeing at Leeds, was it, Lee?
No, I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't. Okay, well, not Michael Oliver then, but the referee in that game didn't do what Michael Oliver did. So there's another example of a red card. The point I'm making, I've got the referees wrong, I apologise for that, but in answer to your question, I think Arsenal are dealt with in line with the law, but other clubs and other players are not. And there's been evidence of that over the last month.
Lee, leaving out the red card decisions, which I agree with Graham, they were red card. Well, the Martinelli one was the worst decision I've ever seen. But when I talk about referee differently, let's take the Brentford for example. There was the Lacazette foul and the handball. Clearly, okay, in real time, the referee might not have seen it, right? We can all, I'm sitting at home, I can see the replays. When I see the replay of that, I say, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. That's going to go out of VAR. It's a clear penalty. Now, I don't get paid by the FA. I can see that that's a penalty. All right, it might be biased because I support Arsenal, but I think if you sit any football fan down and show them that, they're going to say, yeah, that's a pen. It goes to VAR, and it still doesn't get given. Even though we can see that it's a penalty. The handball. How has that not been given? They're given every other week. But then against Arsenal, oh, no, play on.
The penalties again, I don't know. It's opinions or whatever. Like the game against Spurs, there's no difference between that one against Spurs and the one against us today. One's given and one's not. That's the difference. Inconsistency. So, okay, it's inconsistent. I see... Oliver give a yellow card for a sending off. I don't know who it was against now. Like, you know, it might have been Man United, Brighton, might have been that one. Like, you know, but it goes to VAR, and they then
dunk, wasn't it?
So yeah, they get sent off. I then see this the one against Leicester of Aubameyang. He gets booked for it. Not a sending off. Do you remember Leicester? That's there's no VAR check to say that it was a no. You got that wrong, Mr. Oliver. No. Go over to the line. You know, an absolute joke of a decision. You know, like so. I watched the game. Like let's go back to the Liverpool game against. In the semi-final. Partey does two bookies. He's only been on 10 minutes, by the way. He does 2 fouls, 2 yellow cards. Straight away, yeah, it's a sending off because it's letter of the law. Got to go. Fair enough. I'm not saying it's not. Fair enough. I'm sitting here watching the Man United game. McTominay on a booking, right? And it's a clear second yellow card, right?
Absolutely.
Do it. I've had to turn it off. And then I get that Pratt Dermot Gallagher on there going, oh, you've got to worry about this. What about... When it was Arsenal, no, that's letter of the law, the bald-headed twat says. Like, that's letter of the law. But then all of a sudden, you've got to worry about this. If I could see him, I'd just grab hold of him and smack him straight in the mouth and say, shut up, you mug. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting on my nerves now, like, what they're doing. Right? And I can
even said, just to cut across you there, sorry, Lee, he even said, the referee would have to take into consideration the conditions on the pitch.
Yeah, of course he does. Like, you know what I mean? Absolute joke. Letter of the law. Letter of the law against and everybody's saying the letter of the law for the Martinelli one, yeah, letter of the law. Like in the first 5 minutes, Martinelli goes round their right back, gets brought down. Letter of the law, it's a booking, doesn't give it. Then 5 minutes later, he doesn't give an Arsenal one. But I can guarantee you, if it had been the other way round, he would have booked that Arsenal player. If that was Cedric done that in the first 5 minutes, out comes the card, yellow card. Like, you know, and I look at things like that. I look at the things that when Partey brought down someone straight away, yellow card. Yeah, not going to argue, but it's not happening all around. I remember the one. Who was it? The Crystal Palace player kicked out at Saka when he weren't nowhere near the ball. Can't remember who that. MacArthur, I think it was.
Volleyed him into the top corner.
Right. Yeah. Straight away, right. That's straight away a sending off. It goes to VAR and they don't do nothing about it. And then I see I see someone else the other day push someone. I tell you, it was in the Leicester game. I tell you, it was Leicester Spurs game. The fella that scored the goal, Winden or whatever. He gets up, he pushes the bloke in the face. Nothing. Xhaka does that. He's off.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not saying that they're against Arsenal. You know what I mean? They're pulling the letter of the law. For Arsenal every single time. There's never have I heard someone turn around and go, Arsenal, are we giving the benefit of the doubt? Where was the benefit of the doubt for the Martinelli one? Where was the benefit of the doubt like that Gallagher was talking about yesterday? Knowing, and I'll tell you that, McTominay knew he was on a yellow card. So he's gone flying in there. Where was the common sense for that one? Never to be seen. There's never any common sense when it's Arsenal. You know, I look at the handball yesterday. Do you know what? I'm going to say it now. I don't think you should be giving handballs for that. I think you're diving in. You know, I mean, you ain't deliberately handballing it. You know, so but if you're giving one against, you know, I'm sitting there and going, well, okay, all right, it's a penalty. The Tottenham one's a penalty. Great, you know, as Graham said, it's great that they got the penalty. But why haven't we got our one? Why is no one saying anything about it? Why are we going? Well, how comes why has VAR give a penalty there and no one's intervened there? And the thing is with this VAR, this is what it's causing. Like, it's not the VAR itself; it is the idiots running it, and it's the referees are shocking in this league. There was a moment in that game. I don't know if you remember it in the first half. Saka's gone through. He's grabbed hold of him, tried to pull him down. He didn't do it. He grabbed hold of him again and pulled him down. And you've got Moss going, play on, play on. It's pathetic, you know what I mean? Like, even he went over to Saka and said to him, like, you know, you didn't do that. And Saka went, I don't know what you're on about, mate. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's ridiculous. And I've seen it so many times with Arsenal. And it is starting to... And honestly, the joke thing was when that Dermot Gallagher turned around today and said, well, you've got to have a little bit of common sense. And a week ago, letter of the law is going. You know what I mean? Like,
do you know what, the other problem with VAR, I'll just say this, throw this into the debate. I think we all know that VAR is okay if it's applied correctly, but what they need to do away with is this. It's got to be a clear and obvious error. That is, I think, holding the thing back. If they look at it and they think it's wrong, just change it. No, it's not a clear and obvious error. That's I don't give a toss about the clear and obvious error. If it's an error, it's an error. Whether it's clear and obvious or not, just change it and get it right. And that's what's holding the whole process back.
It's a great point. And like I watched these offsides, right? And Arsenal had one was a millimetre in there. Is that clear and obvious then that it's offside? Is it clear and obvious that it's offside? No, because they're getting rulers out and all that. So why are they allowing that to happen? And then like for an handball or whatever, oh no, we go on with what they're saying. Like, do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. If it's not clear and obvious why are you getting rulers out then? Because if the linesman says it's offside, it's offside. You know what I mean? Like, it's not clear and obvious, is it? But they go back there on an offside, go, we'll get our little pen mark out here and all that. It's pathetic, like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's that much offside, it's offside. Like, I've had enough of it now. Like, you know, if you're offside by a millimetre or that much, it don't matter. If it's that much offside, that's clear and obvious. That isn't. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's got to be changed.
Dan, 1 second there. I've lost it. Oh, here it is. Karen brings up a good point here. She says, do you think that the ref and officials' agenda against us is because of the comments Wenger made about referees a few years ago? It's a bloody good point, to be honest.
It is a good point, but I'm not so sure. I think when you have the amount of mistakes that we're seeing and the inconsistency and the terrible refereeing, and I've said it, say it again, very awful refereeing. That is what VAR stands for. That is all I can say that it stands for. But look who's in charge of them. Mike Riley. Do you really expect anything different? This guy, you know, you make a mistake, you go to his office and he's going to tell you off. Well, I don't respect you, mate, because you were crap. So I ain't going to take anything you say because you were absolutely useless. So I'm not going to be bothering to sit there and start listening to you when you coming out with nonsense throughout your career. If I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake. There are some horrendous mistakes. There are some awful decisions that I've seen. Obviously, we saw the mistakes the other day with Martinelli, if people believe that's a mistake with Michael Oliver. And I can just think of the Mane elbow, not the one on Cesar Azpilicueta, the one on our player, Kieran Tierney, a couple of seasons ago. Nothing happened at all. Nothing at all. That for me was a ridiculous thing to do for Mane, and that deserved to send off. MacArthur, James MacArthur against Saka, Lee brought up an absolute assault in the box. I mean, there's nothing more to say about it. He's just kicked his leg. It's just not even close to the ball. Martin Ødegaard versus Edison the other week, New Year's Day. Chaka's penalty. Martin Ødegaard's doesn't even go over and has a look. There's another one for you. Ashley Westford nearly broke Kieran Tierney's leg the other day against Burnley. Nothing happens. It's just Ashley Westwood. It's Burnley. That's what they do. They get away with it. It's not Arsenal. We'll just leave it because it's
nowhere
Burnley.
near as Eddie's bad as Eddie's one, and Eddie got sent off.
Eddie went against Leicester. Yeah, Eddie and Aubameyang.
Lots of people say to me, "Oh, you Arsenal fans, you're always moaning about referees, and you're always this, that, and that." But I mean, surely other supporters of other clubs, with all the examples that we're bringing up and all the examples that we've seen, it's understandable why we're all saying that the referees are refereeing this differently.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the examples that people can just pluck out the air, Craig, you think actually this is something more than it now. We will all whinge, and some of them that we're moaning about might have been red cards. 1 second, Lee, I know you're trying to come in, so I've got to make this point. Go on, if it's quick, go on.
I was just saying, like, the McTominay one was no different to Gabriel's one against Man City. No different in the tackle. You know, no different. If you have a look at them, go and have a look at them. Hardly any difference, like, but letter of the law, Gabriel had to go, you know what I mean? McTominay stays on the pitch. But sorry, go on.
And then you can't
come in. No, you can't come in. You can't come in.
Can I come in, Dan? Just
I'll just sit back and let you lot talk. Go on, Graham.
Yeah, just one thing, Dan, before you come back in. There was a thing in the media last week when this is nothing new with Arsenal. This goes back to Wenger's time and when Craig brought the comment up. Do you remember? I think it was Phil Neville or one of the Man United players was saying that they were deliberately fouling Arsenal players because they knew they could get away with it. They literally went beyond the law and got away with it, didn't they? And they admit it now. They admit it. So, and I think there's something in that. So I do, and you think about the way Wenger's teams used to be stopped by players kicking them. And I still think it goes on now, the way Arsenal players are kicked. I don't see us. We're not what I would call all right. We get sent off for offences. There are red cards. I'm not going to say that, but we're not like a team like a Burnley, are we? The stats between us and Burnley, you're always going to argue, well, that means nothing that Burnley haven't had a red card for 3 years, because you can't look at each individual foul, what was a red card or what was a yellow card or whatever. But when a physical team like Burnley, who literally do what they do, don't get a red card for 3 years and Arsenal get 15, I think that tells you something. But I do think, before we come back in, Dan, I think teams think they can get away with it against Arsenal, and Arsenal get punished by referees. Sometimes, possibly, because they're trying to give back to teams what they give out to them. So, yeah, over to you, Dan.
No, do you know what? I'm glad you'd come in actually there, Graham, because it is a nice little segue for me, because that is exactly what I was going to bring up. And I was going to bring up that, there's other examples we've seen. Johnny Evans against Aubameyang, Lee picked up. Tommy Yasu against Everton got stamped on and nothing happened. No, that's a blatant red card. Yes. Absolute blatant red card for me. Lacazette versus Emi Martinez against Aston Villa last season, where he was just all over him and hugging him in the box, nothing given. Free kick against us, I think they actually gave Martinez for saying, "Oh yeah, he was out." Well,
but it's not only that, Dan, that it's not given. It's not only that it's not given. It's not even being checked.
No, this is my, and even yesterday, Saturday, Craig, we had a blatant for Lacazette, sandwiched in my opinion, blatant penalty. Didn't see anything happen. The handball that wasn't even checked, that was for Tottenham, which of course we're glad that it was checked, and wasn't enough in the end, but that didn't happen. Well, there's another one on Ben White that I saw as well, wasn't even checked. So these sort of things, and I say wasn't even checked, maybe they are, but nothing's happening. We're not seeing any of these going over to screens and stuff like we see on every other example. So my last thing is this, and that's what I was going to say, and Graham's moved on to it nicely, is it's happening a lot to Arsenal. Why is it happening a lot to Arsenal? Well, there could be two things for me. One is corrupt, and the sport's corrupt, and the game's corrupt, and Arsenal fans are crying about it. Or Arsenal players need to make a bigger meal out of some of these decisions, because I don't see enough crying about it. And people say, I hate doing that. I hate that moaning all the time. You have to. If you're not going to get given it by the referee, I want every single player, and I want Ramsdale running out to that ref. And I don't want to see any other player that's not around that ref saying, I want you to go and check it then, because we are not getting it right at the moment. These officials are not getting it right for us. So we need to make a meal out of it. And if Arteta's not going to come out and make a statement about it, the players need to do it on the pitch and say, ref, go and look at that screen right now, because I'm telling you that's his hand. Or I'm telling you now that is not a red card. Go and look at it again. If we're not getting that, then we're going to have to make a meal of it ourselves. And I hate players doing it. I hate all diving and cheating and moaning and all that. But if it's actually going against you and you believe that there's a corruption in the game, these players need to get onto that man in black and tell him to go and bloody look at it again, because they ain't on our side at the moment. They're really not.
Lads, I'm going to leave it there. I think that's a great ending. Thank you very much for your contribution this evening. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to all in the chat that have been here all evening. Thank you for the live viewers, nearly 300 of you at peak there. Thank you if you're listening to us on audio as well. Thanks very much. Judges, thank you very much indeed. It's been
I really enjoyed that. Great to be back. Love it. Great. That was really, really enjoyable.
It's been a pleasure to share the platform with you once again. Dan, how are you? No, I've already done that bit, haven't I? Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome. Thank you.
And Graham, thank you for your time, sir.
It's been a great pod tonight, Craig. I think you've hosted it really well, and these two lads have been brilliant again. And I think we've had a really good discussion tonight. I really enjoyed it myself, and only come in twice tonight, Craig. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. We will see you again tomorrow night for Four Men and a Mic. And then we have Amanda's show as well on Friday, the Always Arsenal show. Sorry, now I've forgotten the name of the fella she's bringing on. Let me just bring it up here now. Sorry. Amanda's guest on Friday will be Channel 4 sports reporter Jordan Jarrett Bryan. So 8 o'clock on Friday. So tune into that one. Will be a good show, as Amanda's shows always are. Until we see you again, take care of yourselves and each other, and up the Arsenal.